Well, we are literally just going round now. Will Redford, you're actually the one. Don't get me wrong, we mentioned it in the commentary. Didn't you have a new engine put in at some point recently? Is that the right driver that I'm talking to?
It is. Well, it wasn't a new engine. It was the old one out the back of the truck that's not been run for months. But
Much better.
yeah, well, we had an engine failure on Saturday in the morning practice, so we got no practice in. I've had no practice this whole weekend. We've had like 2 laps in the 15-minute practice yesterday, but we got the engine out, got a new engine in, dressed it all on the grass, got it in the car. The Kinetic boys did a great job getting it in the car and getting it running for today. So we've finally sorted out the issues with it, and it's running on the pace it should be. I
was going to say, we had a chat to Dave earlier on. Actually, he said, make sure if you get an opportunity, come and have a chat to some of our drivers because they're right on it, and you are right on it, even though you haven't had that many opportunities at practicing at all. You're right here, front of the order. Are you hoping actually to progress even further in this last 5 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it's a standing restart, so anything can happen. If I get a good start, you might see me on the podium, but I'm just hoping to hold a good position for the reverse grid in race 2.
Bit of background then from you personally in terms of driver history and racing experience and everything like that. Sort of what's been your last, I don't know, 5-6 years of racing, I suppose?
So I've had half a season in real world motorsport, and that's it. And that was last year in the Junior Saloon Car Championship in the Saxos. I did 5 rounds in that, came away with 5 podiums out of 11 races, so did all right. And then because it's a junior championship, I'm obviously a bit too old to go at it again this year, so we've decided to try and hop into a full season of Civics. But before that, I haven't done karting. I've come straight from some sim racing.
What sim racing have you done? Because I've chatted to quite a few sim racers, as you know. And any sort of other stuff that you've been going on with? How often do you jump on the sim or anything like that? And has it helped with the real world racing?
Yeah, it's absolutely helped. I mean, that's where all my speeds come from. I wouldn't be up the front if I didn't know how to drive, and that's where I've learned how to drive is on iRacing, doing multiple different leagues. But yeah, that's where I've learnt my craft, and it's been a difficult transition getting it, like, you know, going into the real world. There's so much more to it. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes, and there's so much you've got to learn. But it's the fundamental driving, like the technique is the same, and that's what's carried across.
And it hasn't, because I know quite a few sim racers who, once they jump into a real car, they maybe get a little bit put off and they actually get a little bit scared, especially around somewhere like Cadwell. You don't have that real fear in the sim world. You have it very much here. We've obviously seen Alfie Threlfall, who's luckily okay, but is that not something that's sort of even crossed your mind that much?
It is something you've got to get used to, because real world cars, they move around a lot, and that's something you don't get in the sim because you're sat in your chair at home. You don't feel the car moving about, and that's where the confidence aspect comes in, because when you've got someone who's confident with the car and they know they can let it move about and that, you know, it's going to stick and it's going to grip, that's when the speed comes. And in the sim, it's not really something you've got to worry about because you're not scared of crashing. But yeah, it's just all confidence in the real world and getting used to how the car moves about.
Well, thank you very much for having a chat to us. I mean, to be honest, the reason why the sim and you can't feel it moving about is why I'm awful in it. I can only drive a real world car. But anyway, that's enough about me. Shout outs. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to? Any names on the side of the car? Any mechanics? Any mums, dads, brothers, sisters? Anybody in the world that you want to give a shout out to? Take as long as you want, honestly.
Oh, where do we start? Well, obviously, first off, massive thanks to Kinetic boys for getting the car fixed and out for today. It was quite a difficult Saturday trying to figure out what we were actually going to do, but all my sponsors on the car, they've all got me here today, and I want to send a massive thank you to Nest in the Woods, Camel Travel, Reaseheath College, Limb Spice Lounge, and of course Connex, the main sponsor, who have personally paid for this weekend. So,
did you go to Reaseheath?
I did go to Reaseheath.
In Cheshire? Yeah, so did I. I mean, it would have been about 10 years after you, but yeah, I didn't even notice that logo. Anyway, good luck for the rest of the race, and obviously maybe we'll be having a chat to you a little later on if you grab on the podium as well and stuff like that. And well done for doing it with that new engine.